Want to call the meeting of the Morgantown Land Reuse and Preservation Agency to order. Let me call the roll. Ms. McDonald is present. Mr. Kirby is absent. Ms. Rye is en route. Mr. Bailey is here. Mr. Mills is excused. Mr. Stranko's here, and the chairman's here. We have proof of notice of the meeting. So let's move on to, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the July 28th, 2022 minutes.
Second.
Moved and secondary discussion, correction, amendment.
Who prepares these minutes, Ricky? Is this you? Who prepares the minutes?
Barb, our executive
Thank you for
assistant. Absolutely. Thank you.
Lacking discussion, all those in favor of approving the minutes of July 28th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The minutes are approved. Thank you. There is no public comment today. There is no correspondence today. There are no presentations. Reports of officers or directors. Mr. Bailey, do you have anything?
No report.
Mr. Stranko?
I will defer to the committee report.
Very good. Ms. McDonald? Okay, very good. What I would do is call attention to Ms. Rye's financial report. As of today, our beginning balance is $34,762.72. There were no expenses this month, and we had income of $3,088.73. The ending balance is $37,851.45. We thank her for that report.
Move to accept the report.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The report is accepted. Thank you. Reports to the committees. Ms. McDonald, Property Management.
Nothing to report.
Okay, very good. Greenbelt Connections, Mr. Bailey.
No report.
No report. And Mr. Stranko, City and Underutilized Property.
Well, as Chair knows, we've been pretty busy, and I wonder how we want to just talk about the property agent contract.
Yeah, please do.
So, the board will recall that we ran an ad, a nicely prepared ad by staff for a request for proposals from real estate agents to support our project in lower Greenmont. We had no response to those, so we searched out the marketplace to find a qualified agent to represent the agency, and boy, did we find one. Petropolis Properties, thanks to the chairman, Petropolis Properties has agreed to do this work, and you have in Exhibit A the scope of services, which I think is very well drawn and comprehensive. The idea is that Petropolis Properties, and Mr. Bazio in particular, will soup the nuts, go down there and assemble these properties for us for prospective purchase and further disposition as the board might see as appropriate. So the committee, speaking for the committee, recommends approval of engaging Petropolis Properties, Mr. Bazio, in this work. And you'll see on the back of Exhibit A, the commission structure is 6% of selling price. If a cooperating broker is involved, and if no cooperating broker, the commission is reduced to 3%. This is a generous compensation arrangement because they're not charging us for the fishing. That has to go on the front end of this to contact the owners and see if there's interest in these transactions. So I think an excellent job by Ricky negotiating the terms of this contract, and the chairman as well, and I recommend that the board approve it. We can get Petropolis Properties to work on this project.
Great, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Stranko?
No, sir.
Very good, very good. And we will look forward to continuing your work. Report of staff. The city manager's absent. The city attorney is absent. Mr. Yeager.
Just one update. The one property we had proposed to potential donate to the city off of Dorsey Avenue, they received other bids, and so they're reconsidering that and looking in that direction for now. But if it becomes available again, they will get back to us. So just to your point, in our communications, these things move quickly.
Yeah.
And so if it doesn't pan out for whoever's looking at it right now, we'll take another look at it. One of the other items I'll bring up in executive session later. And then just a note, I will be out of the office the first week in September, so we'll need to coordinate the meetings with the subcommittees. either we'll need to get another link set up so that you all can run the meetings, or we could cancel, but we can discuss that, whatever what preference would be. So,
My idea is our next subcommittee meeting will be in the field with Mr. Bazio and
Okay.
Mr. Yeager. If
Sure.
and, your calendar, I'm sorry, I missed what you had said.
first week of September. So
Okay.
I think property manager meets the first Monday, and I think under the other committee, your committee meets on Thursdays or the following Monday. So,
Okay, and
We'll
you
make
invite
arrangements.
Mr. Bazio to that meeting
yep.
as well.
And he apologized
Yeah.
he could not be here
Okay.
today, but yeah.
Or if we can have a working session, because there'd be no business transaction, if we could have a working session or tour the property early next week,
Sure.
before you go away.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
around 4 o'clock one day.
Cool.
I mean, in some ways, it just, everybody eyeing everything up with no business
It'd be
transaction.
nice to see
would-
it, yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay,
We will make that arrangement.
So we'll start with Sam's schedule.
Yes,
then you
and
can
go
circle
from
back
there.
with
Yeah.
us and
And do your committee still want to meet the following week?
We'll
or
talk about that when
Yeah.
we get
Okay.
together soon.
All right. And that's all I have, sir.
okay, very good. There, no unfinished business. Let me move to new business. Item A is a motion for Mr. Stranko to accept and approve the RFQ submission for real estate brokerage scope of services, which was approved and recommended by the committee.
Yeah.
That's in a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion upon the item that Mr. Stranko brought up and discussed?
This is really exciting, and I think as I was talking to the chair and the vice chair before the meeting, we all agree time is of the essence here. The market's moving a bit, and so hopefully Sam agrees as well, and we can get this started.
Absolutely.
No other discussion. All those in favor of the approval of the choice of the real estate brokerage scope of services, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. It's approved. Thank you. Thanks
Thank you.
for everybody on their work.
Can I just,
Yeah.
before we move on, Mr. Chairman, so as far as signing a piece of paper, is that something the city attorney is gonna take care of for us, or how do you wanna?
Yeah, they're going to send us a draft on next week, and then we'll review it, and then Mr. Satterfield will be able to sign off on it.
Terrific, thank you.
Let me turn to Ms. McDonald and Mr. Yeager. Jessica rekindled
That's a good word.
from our
It's a good
from our
word. Yeah,
retreat,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe
It's
from
been
our
a while.
retreat and did a lot of great work on it. But what I'd like to do is move on to the project proposal submission and evaluation guidelines, and let Ms. McDonald give any context or explanation that she might. And my goal today, we never have a perfect document, but my goal today would be to accept
Right.
and memorialize these as the operating rules of the road of the agency, and if further amendment is needed, we certainly could do that. Ms. McDonald.
So I just took the document that Chris put together, I guess in 2020, and I found that I had edited it, I sent it back to him, and then we had a meeting, and then nothing ever happened with it after that. They didn't have any updated ones, so I kind of worked from that draft, and then I sort of rethought some things based on what we've done since then, and so this is just kind of a cleaned up, simplified version, so there will be like an application that people would fill out to tell us what they want to do. It sort of takes into consideration a bunch of factors that we have to think about in terms of like the ordinance and stuff. And then just sort of runs through like a structure on how that will work. The application would go to the board. I don't know, I can't summarize it all without rereading everything here today, but basically it's just sort of a guide so that we can think about everything we have to think about every time, but it's not super complex.
And I would just add, I really appreciate Ms. McDonald working on this
Yeah.
because she streamlined some of the parts that really we could streamline. So I appreciate that. And this is much more simplified, and we'll get it through the process much quickly.
And I think part of it is if we're trying to buy an elephant versus trying to buy a mouse, there's distinctions that will be in that we don't need or not, or things that we need. I think we just have to be fleet of foot enough that we can address the property that we're looking at. And if we need to go deeper or say that these don't apply, that we can do that and that sort of thing. I mean, I think when we get into this, it's the type of thing that, I think this is as good and as comprehensive a document I've seen for something like this.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very well done.
And to Chris's credit, when we went back and looked, did a lot of research went into
Mm-hmm.
putting this document together. But again, my interpretation is that it's more focused on a project, like partnering with another agency, and that's, so, and we can talk about that later, but staff would also recommend developing other forms that would move property donations or purchases simple,
Right.
move it through the system a little quicker.
So this would be something like the Green Space Coalition would say, we're interested in, and that you would
Absolutely.
hand them
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
100%.
And that would get us started into the due diligence or the 6 steps of the project
Yes,
proposal
sir.
review process.
Well,
I think
and to
really
structure the conversation. Is it, somebody shows up and says, I'd like to donate this, and they say, you guys figure it out. I mean, part of it gets to be, is this put some meat on the bones of this is what I'm offering it for a sale, not a donation, so that it's clear, I'm offering it now, and that sort of thing, and sort of cleans up some of the uncertainty and some of the maybe difficult conversations.
I agree, and it also creates a record, which I think is very useful when
Yeah,
we're talking about land transactions.
Could this also be amended to if we had a property, like, so say we acquire a piece of property, we know that we want it to be used for economic development, and then there might be 4 or 5 different groups, some business, some nonprofit, that want to use that property. And so then we could hand them the same form?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe this form will
So,
do.
so the only addition that I have, I think this is fantastic. I mean, it's clear that just so much thought went into this and it's aligned so well with so many different things. The only thing that I would add is, and I don't know the right language for it, but something related to if the developer or user of the property is willing to put on a long-term deed restriction for the purpose that we are, either public space, economic
Yeah.
development, or affordable housing.
That's a good point. We were talking about that in a conversation yesterday about like when we're donating things and they're going to be targeted for affordable housing or something, we don't want anyone turning them around and
Right.
just selling them to a
Yeah.
developer. So yeah, that's a good point.
Or
Yeah.
leaving it vacant for
Right.
1 year
Right.
and then turning
Exactly.
around and selling it later, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I think that, whatever that
Well,
deed restriction is.
We'll add that as a friendly amendment. I guess at the end of the day, this would be the basis of, if we have something next month, a property subject to this, that you would bring this in, and in the end, you might have a notes section, or you might have an introduction, all, this paper, and then maybe notes at the end that says, other things that are not covered here, we should consider this and this. But basically, like Tim said, that you'd have a record. It's sort of like doing a loan with a bank, that you have the same bones for everything.
Yes.
And it's how you fit in so that you can compare apples to apples.
And if we did develop other forms for more simple projects, just donation, just to get it, into the hands of the agency, staff would still do that type of review based on these guidelines. It just wouldn't necessarily have to come with a presentation from the person who's, those type of things.
Yeah, because I think you can use the same guide to say this is what
Exactly.
this is best for, right?
Yep.
I know that we had, the supplemental, another land bank's, application. And I didn't see it in here, and, I just did a quick overview on the computer rather than looking at it printed out. Is there anything that asks for their pro forma, their development budget?
In our current application,
Yeah,
yes, I believe there is I have to find it here. It's not as well laid out, I believe, as you're referring to in Washington. They have it's very, but, yes, they do have to, they have to address the feasibility issue. But I don't think it's as explicit. Sorry. I have
It
to-
does actually say pro forma is provided and indicates financial sustainability on page 9 of the application.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
And that will be, that's fine? Okay.
So, with that said, Ms. McDonald has made a motion that we approve the project proposal submission evaluation guidelines as worked on by this agency previously, with the ability for staff to add a friendly amendment dealing with deed restriction and other uses. But I think we all understand the spirit in which what we're talking about there. But Ms. McDonald has made a motion to accept these. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Lacking discussion, all those in favor of approving the project proposal submission and evaluations guidelines, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for your work on that, Jessica. Thank you very much, yes.
That's huge.
Well done. Yes,
It's a
it
big
is.
step for
Yes,
us.
it is. Yes, it is.
So this would be part of the packet for every transaction that we do.
When we're partnering.
At this point, is there anything else to come before the body in regular session?
Well, so I guess just a question, like, that lady that approached us who wanted to buy that parcel in Greenmont, like, would you go through this kind of analysis now with that kind of thing? Maybe a short form version?
It would be a short form version, I would think.
I mean, I think that's what we need next, right, is something
Yes.
to accompany those.
And that's why I included the Huntington and Parkersburg examples, because, you know, I would still, if somebody's gonna purchase the property, we need to make sure that it's feasible what the project they're doing and that, yes.
Yeah.
But there would be a shorter form,
Okay, so are you gonna do those
Yes.
short forms? Okay.
based on the guidelines that you just adopted.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Is there anything that we need to come into regular session for?
Do not, sir.
Okay. Okay, at this time, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session and note that we will come out to adjourn only, that there'll be no business transaction. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of moving to executive session, please signify by saying aye.
Okay.
We are now in executive session. Thank you.